When the player first arrives in this fictitious African country that we've created, he hasn't really been briefed about this conflict. That he's not here because of that conflict. He's not here to get involved with what the factions are up to and why they're fighting each other. He's really here because this arms dealer, the Jackal, has managed to embarrass or anger or create some kind of anxiety for some external force, and we never specify who that external force is. But whatever it is, the Jackal's done enough bad stuff that he's become a liability, and the player's client, whoever that may be, has decided that they need to get rid of this guy permanently, and that's where the player comes in. Obviously there's a lot of different characters because the storyline involves a lot of different opportunities for the player to get to know the different factions in the game, the different warlords that control those factions, and these are some really, really bad guys by kind of any measure you care to apply. We're talking about warlords who are sort of self-serving. They're basically glorified criminals. They're not really interested in trying to make this country a better place by taking it over. They're really just looking at plundering it for whatever they can get out of it. But as bad as those guys are, they're really just a drop in the bucket compared to the player's main target, and that's the Jackal. The Jackal is a notorious arms dealer and basically showed up with boatloads full of guns, full of old Soviet, AK-47s and RPGs, and essentially armed both sides of the conflict. The other tool that we have in the story for trying to convey the stakes to the player is Reuben Oluwagembe. He's a journalist character. He's sort of an exiled Nigerian journalist who's covered a lot of different wars across Africa. He's been in the game's fictitious setting for literally months, and he has a better idea than anybody about kind of what the cost has been in this conflict, who the different sides are, what all the different games are that are getting played, who the Jackal is. In fact, we started out months ago with a blog that was available for people to read and is up right now, that kind of recounts Reuben's whole experience visiting this country for the first time, kind of coming to terms with the nature of the conflict and learning what he can about who's involved, how he first encounters the Jackal, how he first encounters all the different mercenaries. There are characters mentioned in the blog that are unique to the blog, and then there are characters mentioned in the blog that are definitely part of the game. So we definitely encourage people to go check that out because it has little sort of hints of information there that players might find useful for sure. Part of the challenge for the player is that he really starts out at a serious disadvantage. I mean, he, not just in terms of his power and the weapons that he has access to. I mean, that's something that probably players are used to, but then the fact that he has no reputation. Nobody knows who he is. He's just another hired gun in a country full of hired guns. He's also sick with malaria. Like everyone around him can look at him and say, this guy's on his last legs. He might not be here in another 2 days. So everyone's kind of underestimating him, and we feel like that's kind of an interesting place for the player to be in, where at some point he's going to be like, all right, these people are underestimating me, and I'm going to show them. I'm going to show them that I am every bit as much of a badass as everyone else is around here, and that I'm certainly more than up to the task of taking on a guy like the Jackal. I'm the guy who's going to be the one to take him down. And in order to do that, yeah, he's going to have to make a deal with the devil for sure.
Orders are to terminate.